I'm painting on a recycled canvas for today's tutorial. I'm just coming in with some kind of brilliant blue here, doing a little border around the edges. That's going to make sure I get a complete look to my painting later on. From here, I'm using this old Eiffel Tower painting I had kicking around, and just going to work in a sky. And where that Eiffel Tower is going to become a mountain in the scene here today. Coming in, just fading in some blue, back in with some white, just getting things to stick exactly how I like. And I'm going to do a little bit of backlighting here for where my mountain is going to be sitting for today's painting. I'm using Montana Gold pretty much across the board here. I am using a little foam brush, spraying some paint off to the side to paint in my mountain. You're going to see that come into effect here shortly. So yeah, just spraying some brown spray paint off to the side and coming in and doing a nice little outline of my mountain. The landscape itself, especially this mountain in the background, is not going to be the main focal point of today's painting, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time making it perfect. I'm just going to go and work in a nice little outline of the shape I want to achieve, and then I'm going to come in with some highlights, maybe a little bit of snow, and just little detailed items, but not going crazy with that step. Here I just spray in kind of a mirror image of the mountain. I was going for reflection in the water that you'll see coming up later on. Now I'm just going to work in some lighter colors to highlight one side of the mountain and just work in a bit of a three-dimensional look to it here. If you guys are new to spray paint art, be sure to check out the beginner spray paint art tutorial series. That's going to be your spot if you're just getting started and want to learn the basics of spray paint art. Today's not a full-blown tutorial, as I do use a multi-layer stencil, and as you can tell, I haven't reviewed how to make one of those. So today, just follow along with the landscape. I wanted to walk you guys through my process when creating this one, and in the future, we will definitely tackle how I go about creating these multi-layer stencils when it comes to our portrait in the bottom corner of this painting. One thing I'll say up front here, I definitely lost a bit of what I was going for with the reflection in the water. So in my case, I didn't need to spend all this time on the opposite mirror image side of the mountain. As you'll see here, I'm just coming in with a finer tip paintbrush now and just doing a little bit of snow and kind of runoffs of snow down the mountainside, just making it look a little bit more realistic. Now I'm working in just some blues and other colors into the reflection. Again, my reflection didn't work out exactly the way I was hoping to, but that is totally okay. We wound up with a pretty cool looking scene after all. Now I'm coming in with some black and just working in some trees. I'm using a little foam brush and I'm working in, again, a mirror image of these trees. I'm just doing the bottom ones for reflection in a water line that's going to come up. It does still kind of give that effect, but not to the whole level I wanted it to. Nonetheless, just going to take my time, work in some little trees fading off into the distance, a bit bigger towards the foreground of this painting, and giving that illusion of a deep forest scene here going on behind. Nice little result with our mountain in the background. I'm liking how that looks here. From here, I'm using an artist sponge with some white, just adding in some nice highlights, making those trees pop, giving them some reflection and some snowy effects as we work our way back throughout the scene. And again, this landscape kind of concept you'll see come together towards the end of today's painting, but I'm not going for a huge amount of detail in my actual scene. I'm just creating kind of a work in progress look to the winterscape that's looking on before us here. So I'm just going in with the straight edge tool. It's a little drywall tool, and I'm working in kind of the same color with that dark blue up in the corner and coming in with some white. I don't know if it's a case of just not enough paint, too much paint, but I didn't really get the reflection of the moon. I think I put a little too much white over top. Pardon me, the reflection of my mountains and my trees. I do like that little black shadow line along those trees off in the distance, but you don't really see a reflection I was going for with the mountain. So I'm just going to go in, fine tune the look of this, play along with the reflections and the way the water's looking, getting some of that mountain to peek out underneath, and just give that illusion of reflection here for our scene today, and working out that distant water line as well. Using a bit of Rust-Oleum clear coat here to play around and add a bit of make the paint malleable again, if you will. So that's definitely helpful to have in your spray paint art arsenal. Now I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm coming in here and just fading along the edges of this painting. I think I'm just using Rust-Oleum quick color for this, and I'm just creating a little vignette, a nice little black border, kind of almost making that landscape look like it's floating in space here. And just gonna go in along my edges and black that out a little bit more, finishing off the border edge of this painting. As I mentioned, we weren't going for a full complete landscape scene, just something that's kind of a bit of a work in progress. And that being said, we're going to kind of break the fourth wall with this painting and add another element to it. Just going to finish blacking out the borders here of the edges of this painting. It's going to give us that nice finished appearance when it's hanging up on the wall. So from here, I am going to come in with a multi-layer stencil, and you're going to see this scene kind of come to life just a little bit more. I've added a little bit of Rust-Oleum quick color white, and then I have added some light adhesive and laid my stencil down onto my canvas for its first black layer. The poster board is just meant to keep overspray at bay, and that's going to be the base for our multi-layer stencil here in today's spray paint painting. A little bit of an oopsie there, just come in and touch it up with a little bit of black. What you're not seeing here is these layers drying for pretty close to 30-40 minutes, especially this black layer. I think that one was closer to about 45 minutes of drying time in between, just to be sure. Then we're going to line up this kind of medium gray color, making sure all of our detailed sections are in place. Again, maybe we will get to a multi-layer stencil tutorial video. For now, hopefully you guys can just kind of watch along and enjoy if you don't know how to do this method. It is a bit involved, so it's a bit more than a standard spray paint art tutorial, but something I definitely want to explore with you guys in the future. Coming back in, laying down these borders to prevent overspray, and laying down some nuts and bolts just to weigh down that stencil ever so slightly. Coming in with this process, you want a really, really light touch of spray paint. Less is definitely more, and it's going to reduce your drying time. You will see that nice little stencil overspray line on the left-hand side there. I do my best to fix that up later on in today's painting. From here, we just let it dry again. Then we're coming in with an additional layer of light gray this time, making sure everything is adhered down, making sure we're coming in with a very light touch of spray paint on a fully dried bottom layer. Pulling off here, and you're starting to see the man, the myth, the legend, Bob Ross come to life a little bit in the bottom corner of our painting. Last layer for this piece here today is going to be the white layer. This is where all the kind of details and highlights come through. Again, very, very light coat of paint. Off come the barriers there, and we just peel this off in one direction. Nice little peek at our Bob Ross. You're going to see me fade out that little stencil line that caused me a bit of grief earlier on. And we're just making that vignette kind of nice and dark, vibrant in the background. Vibrant's the wrong word, but that's okay. From here, I'm just adding a little bit of blue paint to the paintbrush, kind of giving that look that Bob Ross himself is kind of working on a painting within a painting, and that's the general effect I was going for in this one. Definitely had fun working on this project. I did already make the stencil, I think, a few years back, so I had it kicking around, and it was something I've been meaning to work my way into a future painting. So it's pretty exciting to do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed following along in today's painting. Hopefully it's inspired you to give spray paint art a try or explore some of your own creative ideas. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again in a future spray paint art video.